The first thing to note about number 22 is that this is clearly a main idea, whole passage kind of question. And so we should be saving this until the end after we've answered everything else. And then we should come back to this because at that point we'll have a much deeper understanding of what the passage is about and hopefully then have more information to be able to answer this correctly. But more important is we don't want to get bogged down in the details and the science. This is why dumb summaries can help us and why we can kind of focus on big picture repeated ideas instead of the specific things that they might mention in just like one paragraph or one line. We really want to focus on kind of the stuff that's true from line number 1 to line 80 in this case. So there's another strategy we can also use, mostly on science passages, to help us understand main ideas, and that's remember that the blurb exists. Always read the blurb. We're supposed to do this before we even look at the passage, before we even look at the first question, but it's something you might want to revisit when you come back to the main purpose questions, because sometimes the the title of the reading passage tells us a lot about what the purpose is. In this case, it's a passage adapted from Patricia Waldron, and it's titled, Why Birds Fly in a V Formation. Okay, let's go to our choices. Is it describing how squadrons of planes can save fuel flying in a V formation? No, it's about birds. We just read that. We know it's about birds also because that's repeated many, many times. Do they mention planes in certain places? Yes. But they mention birds in a lot more places. Discuss the effects of downdrafts on birds and airplanes. Again, the planes is not the point. The birds are the point, so fine, that's okay. But downdraft, that's a very specific term that I don't remember reading very much. Maybe it came up once or twice, but the thing that seemed to matter more was the V formation. So downdraft doesn't seem like that. Let's get rid of it. C. Explain research conducted to study why some birds fly in a V formation. Oh my God. Why some birds fly in a V formation. Why birds fly in a V formation. I mean, come on! You can't get this wrong. It's right there. Right? I mean, it's the same. And is the rest of it okay? Because we need to make sure, but it's not really adding anything, right? Explain research conducted to study this. So did they study it? Yes. Was there research? Yes. They did the whole thing about the ibises. This is like literally the same title. This is absolutely the answer. Now we should look at D. Illustrate how birds sense air currents through their feathers. Was that part of what they talked about? Absolutely. They talk about the feathers. They talk about the air currents. Mostly now that was towards the end, and it was in the part of the passage where we had other questions that that were drawing us to those lines, and the common theme of those questions was that these were things that the authors want to study next, right? So if that was kind of right here, right? So they're sensing air currents through their feathers, right? There's that phrase, but it's something that they suspect. They do not know how it happens. This is something that they want for future studies. This was a question. So this is the trap that they're trying to set for us, is they know that we're going to remember specific phrases, and they know that we're going to gravitate towards choices that sound really sciencey. But remember, main ideas are repeated ideas. So just because some phrase or concept is mentioned somewhere in the passage does not make it a main idea, right? It might be in service of the main idea. It might be a contributor, but we don't want to confuse the two. And so what's the main idea? Well, the air currents thing is just more discussion of the V formation. That's the main idea. So this is a random fact, not a main idea. And that goes to show there's multiple ways of getting this answer. We could just use the passage and think about what was repeated and what came up again and again and try to avoid choices that are too narrow and specific. Or, like the highlighting shows, we can just look at the blurb, and this is like as easy as it gets. The blurb is literally giving us this answer. If we only read the blurb and not a single word of this passage, we should still be able to get this answer just based on that. This really works. It won't always be as easy, but it's an article in a science newspaper or whatever. Like, they're not going to like dance around the purpose. The whole point of scientists is that they just kind of get to their point. So that's what's happening here. Always read the blurb, get that title. It might not help, but boy, when it does, it really can get you 10 points on a hard question very, very quickly and easily. So use that to your advantage. Don't ignore it. It can really save you, just like it did here.